Ethan Carter stood backstage at New York Fashion Week, his heart racing with a mix of excitement and anxiety. The air buzzed with the frantic energy of models rushing to get dressed and stylists adjusting their final touches. The vibrant colors and textures of the garments surrounding him were a testament to the creativity that thrived in this high-stakes environment. But for Ethan, it was more than just a fashion show. It was a crucial moment in his life. He took a deep breath, inhaling the scent of fabric and hairspray, trying to calm the storm of emotions swirling inside him. His collection, a manifestation of his heritage and personal experiences, was his dream come to life. Each piece told a story of struggle, resilience, and beauty. As he looked at the garments hanging on the racks, he couldn't help but feel a swell of pride. The intricate patterns were inspired by the vibrant textiles of his childhood, while the silhouettes echoed the grace of the women in his family. "Ethan, are you ready?" called Mia, his closest friend and assistant, as she poked her head around the corner, a clipboard in hand and a bright smile lighting up her face. "Almost. Just a few last-minute adjustments," he replied, adjusting the hem of a stunning gown that flowed like water. "Let me help," she offered, stepping in to assist. "This is your moment, and you deserve to shine. Remember, you've poured your heart into this collection." Ethan nodded, grateful for her unwavering support. The two had spent countless nights perfecting each piece, fueled by coffee and dreams of success. But as the showtime approached, doubt crept in. What if the critics didn't see the beauty he saw? What if they dismissed his work because of his skin color? He shook his head, trying to dispel the negativity. He had to focus. As the lights dimmed and the music began to play, he took his place backstage, heart pounding. The first model stepped onto the runway, and Ethan felt a rush of adrenaline. He watched as the audience's gaze followed the model, their whispers barely audible over the thumping bass. But as the show progressed, Ethan's initial excitement began to wane. He caught snippets of conversations from the critics seated in the front row, whispers that sliced through his confidence like a knife. "Is this original at all?" Victoria Lane, a prominent fashion critic known for her biting reviews, scoffed. "It feels derivative. I see nothing groundbreaking here." Ethan's heart sank. He could feel the weight of her words pressing down on him, a crushing reminder of the barriers he faced. He had poured his soul into this collection, only to be met with scorn. The models continued to strut down the runway, but the vibrant colors of his designs began to blur in his vision, overshadowed by the harsh reality of the industry he aspired to conquer. "Don't listen to them," Mia whispered, standing beside him. "They don't know what they're talking about. Your work is brilliant, and it will resonate with people. Just wait and see." But as the final model made her way down the runway, Ethan couldn't shake the feeling of defeat. The applause that erupted was a distant echo, drowned out by the laughter of the critics. When the show concluded, he felt as though he had been stripped bare, exposed to the world's judgment. As he gathered his things, he overheard Victoria and a few other designers in a heated discussion nearby. "Honestly, I don't know how he got a slot in this show," Victoria remarked with a dismissive wave. "His designs are unoriginal, and he doesn't belong here." Ethan's heart raced, his hands clenching into fists. He couldn't remain silent any longer. He stepped forward, summoning every ounce of courage he had left. "Excuse me, but I think you're mistaken," he said, his voice steady though his heart raced. "I've poured my life into this collection. It's a reflection of my journey and my heritage." The laughter that followed felt like daggers to his heart. "Oh, sweetheart," Victoria replied, her tone dripping with condescension. "You really think your little collection can make waves in this industry? You're dreaming." Defeated, Ethan turned away, the laughter echoing in his ears as he left the backstage area. He stepped out into the cool New York evening, the city lights blurring through his tears. The weight of their dismissal settled heavily on his shoulders. The dreams he had nurtured felt so fragile now, as if they were slipping through his fingers like sand. As he made his way home, the night air felt heavy with doubt, and he couldn't shake the thought. Was it time to give up on his dreams? Would he ever be able to rise above the prejudice that clouded the industry he loved? The questions swirled in his mind, leaving him in turmoil as he walked through the streets of a city that felt both familiar and alien. Ethan Carter stood in his small studio apartment, surrounded by sketches and fabric swatches that seemed to dance with a life of their own. The room, once a sanctuary, now felt charged with urgency as he sought to reclaim his sense of self after the brutal critique from Victoria Lane. Every piece he had created for the New York Fashion Week show echoed with the doubts that had been cast upon him. But today was different. Today, he was determined to transform that pain into something beautiful. He picked up a vibrant piece of fabric, rich in color and texture, reminiscent of the vibrant murals that adorned his neighborhood. "Mia," he called out, his voice laced with a blend of hope and trepidation. His best friend and assistant, Mia Thompson, was rummaging through boxes of materials in the corner. "What's up?" she replied, turning to face him, her eyes sparkling with encouragement. "I want to redefine this collection. I want it to tell a story. Our story," Ethan said, his passion igniting as he spoke. "I want to reach out to the local artists. They have so much to offer, and I think we can create something unique together." Mia's face lit up. "That's an amazing idea. We can organize a workshop, invite them over, and brainstorm. Imagine the fusion of styles. It'll be like a cultural explosion." Ethan nodded, feeling the weight of his doubts begin to lift. He grabbed a sketchbook and began to jot down ideas. "We could collaborate on prints, maybe even have them design some pieces. It'll be a community effort." Mia clapped her hands together. "I love it. I'll start reaching out to artists in the area. We can host it at the community center. There's enough space, and we can get more people involved." Ethan's heart swelled with gratitude. "Thank you, Mia. I don't know what I'd do without you." The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. They reached out to local artists, and soon the community center buzzed with creativity. Ethan watched as people from different backgrounds came together, their ideas blending like the colors of the fabric that surrounded them. He felt invigorated, witnessing the passion and talent in the room. On the day of the pop-up show, Ethan arrived early, his heart racing with anticipation. The venue was adorned with a kaleidoscope of colors. Each piece displayed told a story, a testament to the collaboration between him and the artists. The air was thick with excitement, and he could feel the energy of the crowd as they began to filter in. "Mia, look at this," he exclaimed, pointing to a stunning dress design by a local artist. It featured intricate hand-painted designs that echoed the vibrant street art Ethan had grown up with. "It's stunning. You've really captured the essence of your community," Mia said, beaming with pride. As the attendees mingled, Ethan felt a sense of belonging he hadn't experienced in a long time. Influencers and industry insiders moved through the space, their eyes lighting up as they examined the collection. He overheard snippets of conversation that filled him with hope. "This is fresh. I've never seen anything like it," one influencer remarked to her friend, her voice laced with excitement. Ethan took a deep breath, reminding himself that this was his moment. As he stepped onto the makeshift stage to address the audience, he felt a surge of confidence. "Thank you all for being here today. This collection is a culmination of not just my vision, but the incredible talent of my community. It tells our story, and I hope it resonates with you as much as it does with me." The applause that followed was thunderous, echoing off the walls of the community center, filling Ethan with a sense of validation he had long sought. He watched as people began to take photos, capturing the essence of his work. His heart and soul poured into every stitch. "Mia," he whispered, his voice barely above a murmur as he turned to her, "I think we did it. I feel like I can finally breathe again." Mia smiled, her eyes glistening with emotion. "You've always had it in you, Ethan. This is just the beginning." As the evening progressed, the feedback continued to be overwhelmingly positive. Industry insiders approached him, expressing genuine interest in his work, and for the first time, Ethan felt like he was truly being seen, not just as a Black designer, but as an artist with a unique voice. Yet, in the back of his mind, he knew that despite this success, the path ahead remained fraught with challenges. But for now, he allowed himself to revel in the moment, knowing he had turned his pain into a powerful statement that would resonate far beyond the walls of the community center. With newfound momentum, Ethan Carter stood in his small studio, surrounded by fabric swatches and sketches that reflected his journey. The invitation to showcase his collection in Paris, a city synonymous with fashion, hung before him like a golden ticket. Excitement coursed through him, but it was tempered by anxiety. What if the critics were unkind again? He shook his head, clearing the doubts. This was his moment. "Mia," he called, his voice echoing off the walls. His trusted friend and assistant hurried in, her eyes wide with curiosity. "What's up? You look like you've seen a ghost," she teased, but then her expression turned serious when she noticed the invitation in his hand. "Paris Fashion Week," Ethan said, his voice trembling with a mix of exhilaration and fear. "I need to prepare. This could change everything." Mia beamed, her excitement palpable. "This is incredible, Ethan. You've worked so hard for this. Let's make it unforgettable." She reached out, giving his shoulder a reassuring squeeze. As days turned into nights, Ethan immersed himself in his work, pouring every ounce of creativity into his designs. He wanted to tell a story through his collection. His story, one that intertwined threads of his heritage with contemporary flair. He envisioned flowing fabrics that echoed the rhythm of his hometown streets, bold colors that represented resilience, and intricate details that spoke of his journey through adversity. When the day finally arrived for Ethan to showcase his collection in Paris, he felt a whirlwind of emotions. The city was alive, the air thick with anticipation. As he set up backstage, he overheard snippets of conversation among the attendees. "Do you think he's really talented?" a voice questioned. "I mean, he's different, but can he really compete?" Ethan stiffened, a familiar pang of doubt creeping in. He exchanged glances with Mia, who offered him a nod of encouragement. "Let's show them who you are," she whispered. The show began, and as the lights dimmed, Ethan's heart raced. Models glided down the runway, adorned in his creations. Each step they took was a testament to his hard work, his vision coming to life. The audience was captivated, whispers turning into gasps of admiration as the designs unfolded before their eyes. But as the first model emerged, Ethan caught sight of a group of critics seated front row, their expressions a mix of skepticism and disdain. Victoria Lane, the same critic who had dismissed his talent at New York Fashion Week, sat among them, her eyes narrowing as she scrutinized his work. "Look at that," she murmured to a colleague, her voice dripping with condescension. "He's clearly trying too hard. This isn't fashion, it's a cry for attention." Ethan's heart sank, but he quickly reminded himself of the purpose behind his designs. They were more than just garments. They were a celebration of identity, resilience, and beauty. He took a deep breath, channeling the energy of the audience, letting it fuel his determination. As the final model walked the runway, the atmosphere shifted. The audience erupted into applause, a wave of appreciation washing over him. Ethan could hardly believe it. The energy was electric. He exchanged glances with Mia, who was practically bouncing on her toes in excitement. When the lights came up and he stepped onto the runway for his bow, the applause intensified. Critics who had once doubted him now looked on with surprise, their expressions softened by admiration. He caught Victoria's eye, and for a moment, their gazes locked. A flicker of uncertainty crossed her face, but Ethan held his head high. "Thank you. Thank you all," he exclaimed, his voice steady as he faced the crowd. "This collection is a piece of my heart, a reflection of my journey. I hope it resonates with you." As he stepped back, a sense of triumph washed over him. The whispers of doubt began to fade, replaced by a growing belief in himself and his talent. In that moment, Ethan Carter knew he was carving his own path in the fashion world, one stitch at a time. Ethan stood in his studio, the hum of his sewing machine echoing through the air as sunlight spilled in through the large windows. His collection had gained traction on social media, and the buzz surrounding his designs was palpable. Fashion magazines were featuring his work, and high-profile clients were beginning to take notice. Yet, amidst the excitement, a shadow loomed over him. "Ethan, have you seen what Victoria Lane has been saying?" Mia asked, her voice tinged with concern as she stepped into the room, clutching her phone tightly. He paused, the needle stilling above the fabric. "No, what now?" Mia bit her lips, scrolling through her feed. "She's spreading rumors that your designs are unoriginal. She claims you're just recycling ideas from other designers. Ethan's heart sank. Again? I thought she'd given up after Paris. She's relentless, Mia replied, shaking her head. But we can't let her get to us. Look at your followers. People are rallying behind you. They see your talent. Talent doesn't mean anything when someone like her has the power to blacklist me. Ethan muttered, his brow furrowing in frustration. Mia stepped closer, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. You have to confront this. Don't let her narrative take hold. Let's gather our supporters, the influencers who believe in your vision. We can create a movement, something powerful. Ethan's mind raced, the idea sparking a flicker of hope within him. You're right. It's time to stand up for what I believe in and fight for representation in this industry. As Ethan began to strategize, he reached out to fellow designers and influencers, inviting them to an emergency meeting at his studio. The response was overwhelmingly positive, with many eager to support his cause. On the day of the meeting, the atmosphere buzzed with anticipation. Designers of various backgrounds filled the room, their expressions a mix of determination and solidarity. Ethan stood at the front, his heart pounding as he looked at the faces before him. Thank you all for coming, he began, his voice steady despite the weight of the situation. You all know the challenges we face as diverse voices in this industry. Victoria Lane's attempts to undermine my work are just the tip of the iceberg. We need to unite and advocate for change. A designer named Ariel, known for her bold aesthetic, raised her hand. We've seen it happen time and again. They try to silence us, but we can't let them. It's about time we make our presence known. Exactly, Ethan replied, feeling the energy in the room shift. We need to highlight the importance of diversity in fashion and showcase our unique perspectives. Let's create a campaign that celebrates our creativity. The group erupted into discussion, ideas flowing like a river. They brainstormed hashtags, social media challenges, and potential collaborations to amplify their voices. We could host a joint fashion show, suggested Marcus, an up-and-coming designer. A showcase of all our work, emphasizing the beauty of our diverse backgrounds. Let's do it, Ethan said, a smile breaking across his face. We'll call it United in Fashion. It'll be a statement that we won't be silenced. As the meeting concluded, Ethan felt a renewed sense of purpose. The support of his peers was invaluable, and together, they would challenge the status quo. However, behind the scenes, Victoria Lane was not idle. In her high-rise office, she scrolled through the latest social media posts about Ethan's movement, her expression darkening with each passing moment. He thinks he can just rise above me, she scoffed, her fingers tapping furiously on her keyboard. I'll make sure he regrets it. Victoria's mind raced with schemes, plotting how to sabotage Ethan's newfound momentum. She knew that if she could undermine his credibility, the industry would follow suit. As the days passed, Ethan and his group worked tirelessly, their campaign gaining traction. They posted images, shared stories, and drew attention to the importance of inclusion in the fashion world. The response was overwhelmingly positive, with many applauding Ethan for his bravery. Mia stayed by his side, her spirit unwavering. Look at this, Ethan. People are sharing their own stories of struggle and triumph, she exclaimed, showing him the flood of comments. This is bigger than I ever imagined, he replied, his heart swelling with pride. But deep down, he couldn't shake the feeling of impending confrontation. He knew Victoria would retaliate. Her ambition was as fierce as his. And as the campaign grew stronger, so did the whispers of doubt among some in the industry. Ethan's resolve only hardened. He was not just fighting for himself. He was fighting for every designer who felt overlooked and underestimated. And with the support of his community, he was ready to face whatever lay ahead. Ethan stood backstage at the conference hall, his heart racing with anticipation. The air was thick with a mix of excitement and tension as he prepared to take the stage for the panel discussion on diversity in fashion. This was a pivotal moment, an opportunity to voice the struggles he had faced and to inspire others. He glanced at Mia, who was adjusting the collar of his jacket. "Are you ready for this?" Mia asked, her eyes sparkling with encouragement. Ethan inhaled deeply, drawing strength from her presence. "I think so. I just want to make sure my message comes across." It's not just about me. It's about everyone who feels marginalized in this industry. Mia nodded, her expression serious. Just speak from the heart. You've got this. As Ethan walked onto the stage, the bright lights momentarily blinded him. He squinted into the crowd, spotting familiar faces among the sea of attendees, designers, influencers, and critics. Some were supportive, while others had once dismissed him. But today, he was determined to shine. "Welcome, everyone," Ethan began, his voice steady yet passionate. "I stand before you as a black designer in an industry that has too often overlooked talent because of the color of one's skin. I've faced my share of prejudice, and it's time we address the systemic barriers that exist." The audience listened intently, and Ethan felt a wave of encouragement wash over him. He continued, sharing anecdotes from his journey, moments of doubt, heartbreak, and resilience. "We must create spaces where diverse voices are not just heard but celebrated. Fashion should reflect the world we live in, not just a narrow perspective." After his speech, Ethan received a standing ovation. As he stepped off the stage, he felt a surge of hope. The conversation was shifting, and he was at the forefront. However, in the back of his mind, he knew that Victoria Lane was still lurking, her influence not entirely diminished. Meanwhile, at a nearby cafe, Victoria was seething. She had watched Ethan's speech from the comfort of her table, her fingers drumming impatiently against her coffee cup. "How dare he take credit for diversity in this industry?" she muttered to herself. "I built this industry. I won't let him overshadow everything I've accomplished." Determined to regain her footing, Victoria formulated a plan. It was time to take drastic measures. She glanced at her phone, scrolling through her contacts until she found the name she was looking for. "I need to make a call," she whispered, her eyes narrowing in resolve. Back at Ethan's studio, he was basking in the afterglow of his success. Mia entered, her face lighting up as she saw his smile. "You were incredible. I can't believe how many people came up to me afterward to say how inspired they were." Ethan chuckled, still riding the high of the moment. "It felt good to finally speak my truth. But I know Victoria won't just let this go. She's still out there, and I can't shake the feeling she's plotting something." Mia's expression turned serious. "You need to stay focused on your work. The fashion houses are starting to take notice. They're reaching out to collaborate with you." Ethan nodded, the thought both thrilling and overwhelming. He had received emails from several major fashion houses, each expressing interest in his unique vision. But a part of him hesitated. He wanted to maintain creative control over his work, to stay true to his roots without being compromised by corporate interests. "What if I launch my own label instead?" he mused aloud, feeling a rush of determination at the idea. "I could build something from the ground up, something that truly represents me and my community." Mia's eyes widened. "Ethan, that's brilliant. You could create a brand that champions diversity and creativity, something that's genuinely yours." As they brainstormed ideas, the vision for his label began to take shape. Ethan could already see the branding, the designs, each piece a testament to his journey and the voices he wanted to uplift. Yet, in the back of his mind, he couldn't shake the feeling that Victoria was not done with him yet. As the days passed, the excitement of potential collaborations grew, but so did Ethan's resolve to stay authentic. He wanted to forge his own path, not just for himself, but for everyone who felt unseen. With Mia by his side, he was ready to take that leap, unaware of the storm that was brewing just beyond the horizon. Ethan Carter sat in the small cafe around the corner from his studio, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee mixing with the anxiety brewing in his chest. The clatter of cups and the hum of conversation faded into the background as he scrolled through his phone. His heart sank with every notification, each one carrying the heavy weight of a brewing scandal. Victoria Lane had unleashed her fury, accusing him of plagiarism in a vicious article that had gone viral. The fashion world, once so enamored with his designs, now buzzed with whispers of doubt. "Ethan, you can't let this get to you," Mia said, sliding into the booth across from him, her expression a mix of concern and determination. "We need to fight back. You've worked too hard to let her destroy everything." "I know, but it feels like I'm standing on quicksand," he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. Everyone's so quick to believe her. What if I can't prove it? What if this is it? Mia leaned forward, her eyes fierce. We can prove it. We just need to dig deeper. Remember that sketchbook you left at the gallery the night of the pop-up? The one with all the designs you didn't show? If we can find those sketches and compare them to her recent collections, we'll have our evidence. A flicker of hope ignited in Ethan's chest. You really think that will work? It has to. Let's get to work. Mia's voice was resolute, and it filled Ethan with a renewed sense of purpose. Together, they raced back to the studio, their minds spinning with ideas and plans. As they sifted through old sketches and notes, Mia suddenly paused, a look of realization washing over her face. Ethan, look at this. She held up a page from one of Ethan's earlier collections, a vibrant design etched with bold colors and intricate patterns. This was your inspiration for the pop-up, right? Ethan nodded, his heart pounding as he recognized the distinctive style he had poured his soul into. Yes, but what's the point? Mia flipped through her phone, pulling up a recent post from Victoria's social media. Look at this. She used almost the same motifs in her latest collection. It's uncanny. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. You're right. This isn't just a coincidence. If we can connect her designs to mine, it'll expose her. The two worked late into the night, gathering evidence and cross-referencing designs. As the sun began to rise, they had created a comprehensive document detailing the parallels between Ethan's work and Victoria's, complete with images, dates, and notes. Now, how do we break this to the public? Ethan asked, exhaustion etched on his face. Mia smiled, her eyes sparkling with mischief. We go straight to the fashion bloggers and influencers who supported you. If we can get them on our side, we'll have the platform we need. The following day, armed with their findings, Ethan and Mia reached out to influential figures in the fashion community, sharing their evidence. To their relief, the response was overwhelmingly supportive. Many were eager to help expose Victoria's deceit, eager to stand against the systemic issues that plagued the industry. As the story broke, social media erupted with outrage. Hashtags like #JusticeForEthan and #ExposeVictoria began trending. Fashionistas and industry insiders rallied behind Ethan, sharing their own experiences of prejudice and plagiarism. I can't believe this is happening, Ethan murmured, watching the chaos unfold on his screen. This could really turn the tide. Mia grinned, her enthusiasm infectious. You're becoming a symbol of change, Ethan. This is your moment. In the aftermath, Victoria's reputation crumbled. Industry leaders began distancing themselves from her, and her once loyal followers turned their backs. The backlash was swift and brutal, leaving her scrambling to salvage her career. With the public support solidified, Ethan found himself at a crossroads. He had the opportunity to launch his own label, a dream he had held close to his heart since the beginning of his journey. At a major fashion event, with the spotlight shining brighter than ever, Ethan walked the runway for his collection, embodying everything he had fought against. As he took a moment to soak in the applause, tears blurred his vision. The cheers of the audience echoed in his ears, a triumphant symphony celebrating his resilience and creativity. Thank you, he shouted, his voice carrying over the crowd. This moment is not just for me, but for everyone who has ever felt unseen or unheard in this industry. Let's celebrate diversity and creativity together. As the applause grew louder, Ethan knew he had not only reclaimed his name, but had also become a beacon of hope for aspiring designers everywhere. He had triumphed over adversity, and the runway was just the beginning.